Okay, so this is a 2 credit. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay,
Miss.
so this subject is a 2 credit subject. So in this subject, you have both theory as well as practical, but the practical aspects are very less. Very less, and that also you have already gone through all the practicals. We will just see what are the modifications we will give when we are teaching them to a women. Okay, so in this particular subject, you will be reading about the reproductive system and pregnancy, delivery, and what are the changes that is happening to a woman's body because of this one, and how as a physiotherapist we will be able to help them. Okay, so not only that, we will also include some of the disease which will be peculiarly affecting a women. Okay, so that also we will be reading about this. So as a whole, we will learn how as a physiotherapist we can help a woman in her life. So that is a complete objective of this particular subject. So uh, this subject will be having a midterm exam assignment, then it will also have a final exam and a OSCE. Okay, so midterm assignment is only 10%. Midterm exam also is 20%. Final exam will be 40%, and final OSCE will be 30%. Is that clear? So this is about the assessment part of this particular subject. So topics, if you see, these are the topics that will be covered. So it will be having an introduction about anatomy and physiology of pregnancy. Okay, so antenatal time. Then during antenatal time, what are the changes that is taking place? Labor, then postnatal time, then common gynecological problem that will be affecting women. So inside that you have some of the problems and its PT management. Okay, so these are the topics. And so I will be taking the theory first, then in the middle, then I will be taking practicals, because most of the time all the practical aspects are interrelated. Okay, so I will take some of the theory aspects first, then in the maybe at week 5 or 6, I will start with the practicals. Then again, we will see the remaining theory. Okay. So most probably by next week, I will send you the assignments, and maybe after your mid-semester exam, you can submit your assignment. And I will also upload the rubrics that we will be using for the assignments. Is that clear? Okay. So since the practicals also we are going to uh, see in the online mode, we will I will give you the case scenario, then I will give you a break room where you can discuss among yourself, then you can present again. Okay, so 1 minute. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so in this chapter, in this particular course, you will be reading only about the women's health part. Okay, so some of the topics will be little bit overlapping, since we will be talking more about the hormones, hormonal changes, and all those things. So many things will be a little bit overlapping, but I will try to make it as crispy as possible. Is that clear? Okay. So for your practicals, we will have a lot of videos. I will try to explain with videos, and if not possible, then I will try to explain. I have taken a lot of videos last time, so I will try to upload all those things. So everything after the class, I will be uploading in LMS. So whatever doubt you have, you can ask in the group, or you can also WhatsApp me. Is that clear? So any doubt regarding the subject?
No, Miss.
We don't have time. I'll just go to the next. Next, actually, like we need this first topic is about introduction topic. It has more of anatomical aspects, so which uh, you already know about the anatomical aspects, so I'm not going to go very in depth about that. uh, I will just brief out the anatomy and physiology of the needed structures. Okay, so in depth you can go and you can read your anatomy and physiology slides, and you can also know more about it. Okay, so it is just a brief introduction about. So today's class will be just a brief introduction about your anatomy and physiological aspects related to this women's health. Is that clear? Okay, so first, let me just explain you certain terminologies like what is obstructive, what is gynecology, and what is the role we have as a PT. What is the role we have in the obstructive and gynecological aspects? All those things we will see first. Then we will go into the anatomical aspect. So first is obstructives. Obstetrics means it is a Latin word that is called as abstract. The meaning is to stand by. So this obstructive is a branch in the women's health which will be dealing with the care of the women and her child during pregnancy and after pregnancy. Okay, so obstructive means obstructives and gynecology is the two words that will be always be together. Okay, so it is a two different word, which is the two branches of women's health. So one will be dealing with the surgical aspects of the women pregnancy, and the postnatal. Okay, the second one is gynecology. That means it is a Greek word, gyneca, meaning women. So this is the medical part or medical management that is dealing the problems of women. So women, being a woman itself, they are exposed to certain disease, and the study about the women's disease and their medical management will come under this gynecology. Okay, the study about the surgical management of the women during her pregnancy and after pregnancy will be coming under this obstructive part. Okay, so that's why it always comes together. So what is the history behind? So whether this obstructive and gynecology was there from very long back, if you're asking me like that, I can say it's not like it doesn't have a very long back history, because previously they used to say that being a woman means you have to deal all these things. For being a woman means you will have all these problem and you have to get used to for all these problems. Okay, so this kind of mindset was there in the people for a very long time. But in the early 20th century, only they started this different aspects, or they started to see the different aspects of the need of a woman. So they started to think why women have to suffer like this, or why a lot of women are dying during pregnancy, why a lot of women are dying because of complications of pregnancy. So they started to think this, and then only they formulated this particular the whole branch was formulated after that. Okay, so previously, like there was not a lot of doctors, they were dealing with the women. They had untrained nurses and other people who will be helping the women during the pregnancy, and because of their untrained issues, they will not be able to deal with the complications. So it was seen as if like pregnancy and delivery means it's like a second birth of a mother. But later, after this 20th century, we had a different concept towards the women. Okay, so same along with that only, like they thought that there is a role for physiotherapist during the in a women's life. Okay, so how they got influenced means there were a lot of there was a doctor who was working in Kashmir. She found out that when a woman is working very hard, or when a woman used to work very hard, during her antenatal time, she was able to deliver her, she was able to manage her labor easily, and she was able to come out of the labor very easily when compared to women who had a very sedentary lifestyle. Okay, so from this concept only, they raised this role of physiotherapy. They made sure that there is a very important role for physiotherapists during the in a women's life. So not only this, like later after that, gym trainer, or you can say a gymnastic dancer, she thought that she emphasized that there is definitely need of some exercises in a woman's life after pregnancy, which will prevent a lot of complications like incontinence or prolapse and other thing. Okay, so she did the study on herself. After her delivery, she had a lot of problems like incontinence during her ballet dancing and other things. So that's why she did some exercises which helped her to overcome this. Okay, so along with that, another doctor called Granty Dick, she also came across a concept called fear tension pain cycle. That is, she like in her service along with the women during the delivery, the women who had fear or who had fear of pain had lot of problems compared with women who were very much relaxed. So slowly they introduced a concept called relaxation during labor, which helped them to overcome this pain cycle, and which helped them to overcome the delivery very easily. Okay, so like this. So it was not by a single person who introduced physiotherapy to women's health. There are many people like this who introduced or who emphasized the need of physiotherapy during a in a women's life. So, what is our role as a physiotherapist? What are the roles we have in obstructive and in gynecology? So, first is related to obstructive. So, our main role is to educate the women about her physical and physiological changes that is taking place during the pregnancy. So, as a woman itself, she will have certain changes during pregnancy. So, we need to teach them these are the changes that will be happening in your body during your pregnancy. Okay, so when they know the changes only, they will be able to understand what is abnormal. So once they know what are the normal changes, then it is very easy for them to know what is abnormal changes. Is that clear? So when they don't know the difference, they will not come and address their problem. They will think all these are part and parcel of their pregnancy. They will not come and address about their problems, or they will not come and address about their issues. Okay, so our role is to give them a clear picture about the physical and physiological changes during pregnancy and after pregnancy, and how we can reduce this particular problems. Okay, so this is our first thing. Second is we give them advices during pregnancy and after pregnancy on the physical activities. Some women will not know what are the activities they can do. So they will be doing more activity and they will end up in miscarriage. Some women will think, okay, I should not will think that the pregnancy is very precious, so she will not work at all. So being sedentary will end up in a lot of complications, and that also will lead to some high risk pregnancy. So we as a physiotherapist have to give them advices what are the activities they can do and what are the activities they cannot do. Exactly. And then third is we need to teach them exercises to gain fitness, especially on pelvic floor, because like during pregnancy, this pelvic floor muscle will be affected to the maximum. And if we are not dealing with this properly, then the women will end up in a lot of complications like in incontinence. Later, they will end up in prolapse, like prolapse of the pelvic organs, and they will end up in surgery and other problem. So we have a major role to prevent this and give them the training. Next is, in case if they need any special treatment or in case they need any special equipmental thing, then uh, then we will be able to give them the training. Okay. Next is, we will be able to assess and treat musculoskeletal problems that is happening in a woman's life. It is not only due to pregnancy, it is not, it is in her throughout life. What are the musculoskeletal problems they may have and how to treat that musculoskeletal problem. We also teach some coping up strategy that can be done during the labor and how easily they will be able to deliver the baby. Okay, so these are our roles in roles as a physiotherapist to during their labor. Okay, so this is obstructive part. So not only that, when we are able to do all this part better, then we will be able to prevent some disease or some problem in their women in the later part of the women's life. So that is your gynecological part. So once this obstructive part is dealt properly, then there is no need for the gynecological problems. Like there is, they won't have prolapse, they won't have incontinence. So we also will not have much of a role during the in the gynecological part. Okay. So what is the aim of what are the aims of uh, what are the aim of physiotherapy in the during the pregnancy or in the antenatal time? Okay, so here uh, pregnancy, we call it as antenatal, we call it as prenatal, or we call it as pregnancy. All three terms will be same. Okay. So our aim, or on the whole, it's a teamwork aim, is to develop a good confidence among the parents, because some parents may be like, it is if it is a first child, then they will not know, or they will not be aware of anything regarding the pregnancy. They will not be aware of the delivery, they will not be aware of like how to take care of the baby. So they will be zero in that aspects. So as a PT, we will be able to give them the knowledge about that. We will be able to give them them the confidence about that. Okay, about the pregnancy and the child care. The next is, we will be able to give information about the choices they have for the delivery and after that. Okay, so what are the types of delivery and other things. So this particular slide you will understand after my second class. Okay, so now you just know what is our aim. Then third is, we will be able to continually providing them the management for management in case if they need any special treatment. So for example, if a woman has a back pain during the pregnancy, and sometimes the pain may continue after the pregnancy also. So like that, we will be giving some specialized treatment for them in case if they need it for a very longer time. Then we will be giving a clear advice with full proper safety factors, so that they understand and they do well. Okay, so it is highly individualistic. So the treatment will be highly individualistic. For example, for some women, you will say, okay, you will advise them to go for swimming. For some women, you will advise them not to go for swimming. For some women, we will be advising some kind of exercises. For some women, we will not advise. So it is a highly individualistic treatment protocol, where according to the person, according to the uh, complications, or according to their body, we have to design the treatment protocol. That clear? Okay. Then the last aim is to promote healthy and preventive medicine. So promote healthy and preventive medicine means, if a woman is very fit after her delivery, then she will not have the later complications. That is, you will be able to prevent the later complications. There are a lot of things like hernia, pelvic organ prolapse, then incontinence, obesity. So these are some of the problems we will be able to prevent in case if we are promoting a good healthy lifestyle in the first part of their life. As a whole, we can say if as a PT, if we are playing a very good role in the antenatal time or before the antenatal time, then their second half of their life will be very healthy and fit. Exactly. So this is a just a brief introduction about ourselves towards the subject. So now we will see about the anatomical aspect. So we are not going to see the complete anatomy. We are going to only see about this structures, which are very much relevant to the women's health topic. So women's health, of course, like you need to know the complete anatomy, but in this course, we are going to emphasize only these structures. There is pelvis, pelvic floor, then perineum, abdominal muscles, breast, reproductive system, urinary system, and anorectal region. Okay, so first we will see about the pelvis. So pelvis is a very strong bone which will be forming as a protective shield and that will be supporting the trunk. Okay, so like I think I don't need to explain much about all these things. You all already know it. So this pelvis is the one which will be supporting the trunk and it will be protecting the pelvic organs which is present inside, and it will be connecting your upper body to the lower body. Okay, and not only that, it will be transmitting the weight to the lower body whenever you are walking. So this pelvis plays a very major role in walking, sitting, and like in all the positions. So this is about the female pelvis. So if you see inside, you will be having three organs. One is your urinary bladder, then the uterus, then the rectum. So you will have three major organs that is called as pelvic organs, which will be present in a female's body. In a male, if you see, you will definitely have a different structures. That is bladder and the bowel alone will be there. Okay, so female will be having a different structure and male will be having a different structure. So in a female pelvis, the pelvis will be little broader because it has to hold these three organs. In a male, the pelvis will be little narrow because it has only two organs to hold within. So this pelvis consists of two bones and two bones in the sides. It is called as pelvic alleys. Then it will be connected by the sacrum and the coccyx in the behind. So it has many joints, and but all these joints will not be movable. It will be strongly connected by a lot of ligaments and it will be holded together. So this pelvis, like nobody will say that this pelvis is made up of this many bones. It all the bones will be connected by smaller joints, and all these joints will be covered by ligaments, which will be holding the complete structure like a single structure. And only during pregnancy and only during delivery there will be having some movements. Otherwise, both the bones will be united together to form a single structure. Okay, so we have a lot of ligaments in the anterior side. We also have a lot of ligaments in the posterior side to hold the pelvis. So this is the pelvic structure. These are the two innermost bone. Okay, this is the sacrum. It has 5 sacrum which is fused together. Then it has 4 coccyx which is also fused together. Okay, so there are a lot of ligaments which will be connecting all the bones. So you will be having sacroiliac joint here, sacrococcyx joint. Then in the front you will be having symphysis pubis joint. Okay, but all these joints will not be movable. It will be strongly connected together by the ligaments. So you can see how many ligaments are connected here. Same ways on the posterior aspects also you have a lot of ligaments to hold the bone together. Okay, so this is the lateral view. So where you can see this is a single innervate bone. Okay, so you have 5 sacrum and 4 coccyx. This is L5, S1, S2, S3, S4, sorry, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. Then you will be having 4 coccyx bone together. Is that clear? So this is the lateral part. Now, so what is the difference between male and female pelvis? The first thing what I said is the male pelvis will be narrow, the female pelvis will be broader. So because the female pelvis have to accommodate 3 organs, that's why it is broader. Compared to male, it will be accompanying only two organs. So this is the major difference between male and female pelvis. The first thing is it is called as false pelvis or false pelvis. That this false pelvis will be shallow. Okay, but here the false pelvis will be deeper. So if you see here, if you see this will be look like a shallow bowl, and this will be looking like a deeper bowl, like a cup shape. It will be there. So this cup shaped structure will help to protect the organ or hold the organ inside. Is that clear? Then, generally, the male pelvis will be very light and thin, but female pelvis will be heavy and thicker. Then, if you see the pelvic inlet, so this is called as pelvic inlet. So this is viewed from the superior aspect. This is the superior view. So from the top, that is, if you just cut the body into 2 halves, and if you see from the top, you will be able to see this. So this is called as pelvic inlet. Okay, and pelvic outlet will be down. This will be the pelvic outlet. Okay, so the black line, this is called as pelvic inlet. This one is the pelvic outlet. Okay, so this pelvic inlet will be large and it will be of oval shape. So if you see here, this will be large and it will be of oval shape. Sorry. I'm very sorry. So this is female pelvis, this is male pelvis, okay? So the pelvic inlet will be, if you see here, it will be smaller and it will be heart in shape. But here, if you see, it will be round and it will be a larger one. Why? Because the head of the baby have to come through this. So that's why this inlet will be broader and it will be having a round shape. But here, if you see here, it will be like a heart in shape. Is that clear? Then the acetabulum, if you see, the acetabulum will be very small and it will be facing anterior. So this is the acetabular notch. It will be small and it will be facing little bit anterior. But here, if you see, the acetabulum will be deeper one and it will be facing laterally. Okay, so this will be facing laterally. This will be facing more anteriorly. Okay. Then next is regarding the orbital foramen. This is called your orbital foramen. This will be oval in shape. Okay. But in the male pelvis, it will be round in shape. Is it clear? So this is oval in shape and in the male pelvis, it is round in shape. Then regarding the pubic arch, the pubic arch will be very wider. This is called pubic arch. This will be very wider, greater than 90 degrees. Here the pubic arch will be narrow, okay, lesser than 90 degrees. Okay, so the main difference here is the shape of the inlet and the pubic arch. So the shape of the inlet will be broad, round, bigger one, and the pelvic arch will be wider. Why? Because then only during the delivery, the baby's head will be able to come out through this. But here, if you see, it is totally narrow. So when the baby's head is coming out, it will be hit by this bones. Is that clear? So that's why this male type of pelvis is unfit for a delivery, but female type of pelvis will be fit for a delivery. So here you can see the pelvic outlet space. So this will have a bigger pelvic outlet space. Okay, I will show you in a different angle in the video. So here if you see, it is very narrow one. Is that clear? So this is the main difference between the male and female. And now here we can see about the pelvic inlet and the outlet. So pelvic inlet is the upper area which will be enclosed by the pelvic brim. So this is the upper area which will be enclosed by the pelvic brim. Okay, so the outlet is the space between the coccyx and the ischial tuberosity. Okay, so this is called pelvic outlet. Okay, this one is a pelvic inlet. Is that clear? Now we can see this is a different view where you can see the pelvic inlet and the outlet. This is the lateral view. Okay. See, if you don't understand certain things, you just raise either you unmute yourself and ask me to stop and ask questions.
Okay, Miss.
Since it is anatomy, I assume that you know anatomy well. So I'll be going a little faster only. So, so far we have seen the difference between
Okay,
male
Miss.
pelvis and the female pelvis. Now, in the female pelvis itself, sometimes we have different types of pelvis. Not every woman will have same type of pelvis. So, maximum or majority of the women will have a type of pelvis called gynecoid, but few of them will have a different type of pelvis. So, these are the four types of pelvis you can see here. So mainly the differences with the shape and size of the pelvic inlet and outlet. So if you see here, so there will be difference between each pelvis type in the shape and the size. Is that clear? Okay. So if the pelvic inlet or like inlet is oval in shape, it is called as anthropoid. Okay, so pelvic inlet will be oval in shape. Then it is called as anthropoid. And then in platypoid, the pelvic shape will be more of Hattin. Okay, in platypoid, the pelvic shape will be more of Hattin. Then in the gynecoid, if you see, it will be round. In gynecoid, if you see, it will be round. In android, if you see, it will be like a triangular shape. Okay, so in this if you see in gynecoid it'll be more easy for the baby to come out during delivery. In the other three there will be a little difficult for the baby to come out, especially in android. It's not at all possible for that particular woman to have a normal delivery. Okay, at least in this two, if the baby's head is smaller or if the baby's weight is smaller, then they have a chance of normal delivery. Okay, in this, definitely they can have a normal delivery. In this type, in the android type, you cannot have a normal delivery. Is that clear? This is explanation about it. Next is about the pelvic floor. So pelvis is a bony structure. Pelvic floor is a muscular structure. Is that clear? So pelvic floor means it is a muscular structure. It is like a sling, okay, or like a it's like a sling which will be holding the organs. So or it is a sling that is passing between the pelvis to hold the organs. So this is your pelvic floor. Is it clear? This is your pelvic floor. So it is made up of a muscular structure only. Not only muscles, it is also made up of some ligaments and fascia to hold it tight and to form like a sling. So this pelvic sling will be supporting all the structures. So this is your bladder, this is your uterus, this is the rectum. So all three structures will be held by or supported by the sling kind of a structure that is called pelvic floor. So this pelvic floor has different layers. So from the deeper to superficial, if you see, first is your endopelvic fascia. So this fascia is a very, very thickened layer which will be holding, which is made up of a lot of collagen and elastic fiber. This will be connecting the pelvic organs to the pelvic side. So that means this end point, so both the sides, this side and this side, you will be having something called endopelvic fascia, which will be holding the organ strongly. The next layer is a muscle that is called levator ani muscle. So this levator ani muscle consists of three different muscles. One is pelvic diaphragm or pubovisalis or ischiocoxalgia. So it has two muscles here. So this pubovisceralis muscle consists of three types of muscles that is called pubovaginalis, puborectalis and pubococcygeus. So depending on the uh, site of insertion, okay, so origin will be same for these three muscles, but insertion will be different. So that's why you have three different muscles here. Okay, so recti ani is a group of muscle. It has two different types. One is pubovisceralis and ischiocoxygeus. This pubovisceralis muscle has three different muscles inside. Depending on the insertion part, we call it as three. One is pubovaginalis, one is puborectalis, and the pubococcygeus. Then next, again, you have two types of two muscles. So all together, this five muscles is called as levator ani muscle. Okay, and this five muscle is supplied by your prudental nerve. Then third layer is your perineal membrane, which will be like a triangular ligament. This lies inferior to your levator ani muscle. Then the next layer is your external genitalia muscles. So the external genitalia muscles are of three. One is ischio-cavernous, bulbocavernous, and the transverse perineal muscles. So these are having three muscles. So that's why, and the last one is called as arcus tendinus. This is the tendon which is connecting or which is holding the levator ani muscle. This is the tendon of the levator ani muscle. So this will give you the origin of this particular muscle. Okay, it's a tendon which will be giving origin to all these five muscles together. Okay, this is about the external genitalia. So you can see, you can learn the parts. Okay, so this is about the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor will be it's like a sling, which will be formed by ligaments, muscles, tendons, and lot of fascia. Okay, and it ends in the external genitalia. So ends in the external genitalia means it will be controlling all three openings. So this is your urinary bladder opening, this is your uterus opening, and this is your rectus opening. So all these three openings will be controlled by your pelvic floor muscles. Okay. So what is the function of this pelvic floor muscle? First thing is it supports the abdomen and the pelvic organs. So it is like a sling which will be holding your complete abdominal content as well as the pelvic content. Then it maintains the continence of both urine and the feces. It will help you to it will allow you to void, defecate, and help in sexual activity and the childbirth. So these are the functions of the pelvic floor. Okay, so I'm not going in depth of all the anatomy and physiology. Okay, so if you have any doubts, then we can discuss later. Usually I will be having a seminar with all these topics because this all these topics you've already learnt in your anatomy 1, physiology 1, anatomy 2, physiology 2. So normally I will ask the students to take seminars, or we will be having discussion in that. But since like now we are not having a face-to-face class, I'm not able to do that. So that's why I'm just giving you a brief revision of anatomy and physiological aspect. So you go through the slides. If you have any doubt, then we can have further discussion. This is the perineal part, which will be having the anus as well as the external genitalia. Okay. The next is the abdominal muscle. So abdominal muscle is again it has four different muscles. One is rectus muscle, which will be running from the xiphoesternal to the symphysis pubis. It is a vertical muscle. Okay, it has two parts. Then you have the transverse muscle. Then you have internal obliques and external obliques. So these are the four muscles that will be forming like a corset in the abdominal area. Next is regarding the breast. Breast is a fatty and granular, made up of fatty and granular tissue. This tissue will be overlying the pectoralis major muscle. So that means above the pectoralis major muscle, there will be a fatty and granular tissue, which is called as breast. So normally this will be in a rough circular shape. This will be having a tail that will be extended till the axilla. So that means it will be having a tail part, and then it will be having a circular part. So this breast tissue will be undergoing a series of growth. That means from the childhood, it will be undergoing series of growth under the influence of hormones, especially female hormones. So because of the female hormones, this breast will undergo a growth, and during two periods, this will undergo a major changes. One is during pregnancy, another one is during puberty. Okay. So you can see here this is a circular part which is having a tail kind of structure, so that will be extending till the axilla. Then this will be having a lot of granular tissue. This granular tissue will undergo development, or it will become bigger because of the hormonal influence. Then there will be a lot of changes, and there will be secretion of milk. So we will see those physiological things a little later. So next is reproductive tract. So reproductive tract, if you see, do you have any class next?
Yes.
So I think then we
The
shall we
class at
stop?
4 to
4
5.
o'clock. Okay, okay. Okay, then shall we stop here?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, we will continue in the next class. Okay, okay. Thank you all.
Oh, welcome to Miss.
Okay, Miss.